Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another lesson with Mr. Fieck. Today we are going to be investigating perimeter and doing a review problem at the end. And the main idea for today is that I can apply the various strategies taught this year to solve multi-digit multiplication and division. So let's get right into it. The first question. Now, if we were doing this in a classroom, every student would actually get a 60-inch piece of string, but because you're just watching the video right now, if you have a piece of string and you want to cut 60 inches and make it interesting and try and do it at home, that would be great. Otherwise, pretend or imagine you have 60 inches of string for this problem. And then it says, use equations, labeled sketches, or words and show your work. So it says, if you use your string to form a rectangle with one dimension of 24 inches, what is the length of the other dimension? Make a labeled sketch of a rectangle and use one or more equations to find and check your answer. So if you know you have 60 total inches, well, if I think about what I know about area and perimeter, the area is inside the object, the amount of space inside an object, and perimeter is going around and adding up the outside of the object. So if I have 60 inches of string, that's going to be the outside. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw my rectangle. Okay. And then I need to think of, what do I already know? Well, if you use your string to form a rectangle, one dimension is 24 inches. So one of the dimensions is going to be, and it really doesn't matter which one I put it on, is 24 inches. What is the length of the other dimension? So I'm trying to find what the other dimension, if I know the length, I'm trying to find the width, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. All right, so if I know, now I need to use my background information of what I know about rectangles. If I know this length is 24, well, if it's a rectangle, this has to be 24 too. Well, if I know that, I can add these two together, 24 plus 24. So 24 plus 24, add my two lengths together. That gets me a total of 48 so far. So now if I think about it, 48, my total is 60. So how far off from 48 am I? Well, then I can figure out what the difference is so far. So I can do 60 minus 48. And I can use one of our subtraction strategies to get to friendlier numbers so I don't have to borrow. I can use the give. So if I add 2 to each number, then I get 62 minus 50, and then getting friendlier numbers using the strategy helps us so we don't even have to borrow. So 2 minus 0 is 2, 6 minus 1, or 5 is 1. So I have 12 left. Now, this is a mistake where I see a lot of people make, and they just say, oh, it's 12. But it's not 12. I have 12 left that I have to split evenly between these two sides. So if I divide this 12 evenly between these two sides, each of these dimensions is going to be 6. So what is the length of the other dimension? The length of the other dimension would be 6. And then a great way when you're done is just add up all your sides to make sure, well, 24 and 6 is 30. Well, these two make 30. These two are also going to make 30, and 30 is 60, which is our total perimeter. So there you go. All right, let's look at another problem. It says, Kaylee is training to run a marathon next summer. Kaylee, clear drawing. Okay, help Kaylee figure out how far she is running each day. Show your work with numbers, labels, sketches, or words. There's a rectangular path for running. So right away, rectangular path. I'm going to draw a picture of a rectangle. Just draw a picture right away. She runs around the path every day. On one side, it's 5.5. So I'll put 5.5. Okay. All right. And kilometers long, and the other side is 3.5. So then we'll put this at 3.5. All right. So there we go. We got 5.5 and 3.5. What is the perimeter? Well, if I know this is 5.5, this also has to be 5.5. And if I know the other one is 3.5, this also has to be 3.5. And then how do we find perimeter? Well, it's the outside of the object. Okay, so you just have to add up the outside of the object. And in this case, we're dealing with halves. So 3.5 plus 3.5, well, 3 plus 3 is 6, and a half plus a half make a whole. So 6 and 1, that would be 7. 5 and 5 is 10, and half is 1. So 10 plus another one would be 11. So 7 plus 11 would be 18 kilometers. There you go. So what is the perimeter of the path? The perimeter is 18 kilometers, just adding up the sides of the object. All right, and let's look at one review problem here. It says Frankie buys 24 tickets to go to the fair. Each ticket costs 25 cents. How much money does Frankie spend on tickets? So first thing is, what is the question asking? What's the big question that it's asking? Well, how much does Frankie spend? So do we know the total, or are we trying to find the total? In this case, we're trying to find the total. And when we're trying to find the total, we know it's going to be multiplication. So our equation is going to be 24 times 25 equals n. Trying to solve for the variable, the unknown, the total. So our estimate, well, if I have 24, what would I round 24 to? To the closest tens, that would be 20. And what would I round 25 to? Well, look next door, 5 or more. Yep, so we add one more, then 2, that'd be 3. So 20 times 30. So our estimate would be about 600. So our answer should be somewhere around 600, or in the ballpark of 600. So now let's see. Now we're actually going to solve. And if we go back to the previous lesson that we did a couple days ago, if I could use one of our multiplication strategies. I could do the area model. I could set up a ratio table. Or in this case, one of them is an even number, so I could use the doubling and halving strategy. So let's see. I can only have even numbers. So that would be 24. So if I have that, that would be 12. And then I would have to double 25, and that would be 50. All right, well, 12 times 50, not the easiest to do. So, but again, this is still an even number, so we can half again. That would be 6. Ooh, and if I double 50, that would be 100. And that gets us to a really friendly and really easy multiplication. 6 times 100, well, 6 times 100 is 600. And then I'm going to go back and check, is that close to our estimation? And yeah, in fact, it's the exact same. So there's a really good chance that it's probably the correct answer. If that doesn't work, I mean, you could always do the area model. You could set up the ratio table, but just a way that you don't have to. I could take this down one more time and do 3 times 200 or whatever. But once I get to a really friendly number, that's all I'm looking for in using the doubling and halving strategy for multiplication. All right, I hope this helps reviewing perimeter and another review of a multiplication problem. Enjoy and have a wonderful rest of